You are now listening to Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast. And now for your hosts, Jamaal Brown and Nicholas Garcia.
Welcome everybody to another Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast. I'm your host, Jamaal Brown, along with my man, Nicholas Garcia. What's up, Nick?
Welcome aboard, Bandwagon fans.
What's up, Bandwagon Nation? Hey, man, Nick, we gotta have to, stop feeling surprised every time we do a podcast. Every time we do one, it's like, hey, we're here again. But it's kind of, something that we do.
It's the highlight of my week, dude. Do you ever get less excited about Christmas every year?
I don't.
So this is the highlight of my week. Every Monday, I'm like, we get to record today with Jamaal. Yes.
Yep. So yeah, it's fun stuff, man, and it's like a muscle. Every time you lift up something, you get stronger at it. So I've been telling everybody we're messing with our recipe and our format, trying to get our groove. So I'm feeling real good, feeling real excited about this episode. So yeah, we have some current events, we have some college sports talk, but Nick is gonna kick us off with our first segment.
So every week so far, we've been introducing different kind of bandwagon fans. This week, I thought it'd be fun to talk about Cinderella Story bandwagon fans. And I think a lot of different research I did, everybody has a different opinion of what a Cinderella team is. Do they have to win a championship to be a Cinderella team? Do they have to shock the world? Do they have to, beat the number one team and then it's acceptable that they get bounced in the next round? One of the teams Jamaal and I like talking about a lot is the Believe team. Was that in 2007, I think it was?
2006, 2007.
Yeah. And the Golden State Warriors, they had a legit team, but they kind of built halfway through the season. They went out and got Matt Barnes and Monte Ellis, Steven Jackson, and those guys, and they had Baron Davis as their point guard. This is before Steph Curry. This is before Kevin Durrant. So those of you that are on the Warrior bandwagon fan team, this team was fun to watch, dude. And the Dallas Mavericks were all on their high horse because they won 60 games for the first time that year. And the Warriors, 8th seed, come in and beat them in 7 games, man.
I think that year, the Dallas broke a record. It was 70 points. The first time we seen 70, 80 points in the first half or something like that.
Yeah. Their offense, they were a good defensive team too, but it was like Dirk and that team was just owning that year. Mm-hmm. They were a good basketball team, and then they were just on their high horse. Like I said, Mark Cuban was talking all sorts of smack because they won 60 games for the first time as a franchise. So, they were good, but they had to come back down to earth a little bit after Golden State beat them in the first round. But, of course, they went on to lose in the second round to Utah. So, I don't know, Jamaal, what do you think? What do you think qualifies as a Cinderella team? Do they have to win a title, or is shocking someone just good enough?
Well, just going back to the Cinderella story, she didn't necessarily get the dude, the night of, she left her slipper there. So, she got to the party, so I think just getting to the dance, getting to the party, is pretty good enough, especially where you came from,
Right.
And like you said, that team was building halfway through the year. They didn't even know they barely squeaked into the playoffs, and then they beat they beat a pretty big team that was really good that year. So, I qualify that as a pretty good Cinderella story.
And there's all sorts of analogies. People called the 02 Angels, my team, when they won the title that year, they called them a Cinderella story. And there was the 2010 Butler Bulldogs. But all of a sudden, you notice with these teams, because they have such a cool story, I like to think most of the time, fans come out and, man, I told you the Warriors were going to beat the Mavericks. Or, I told you that, the Butler Bulldogs were going to be in it this year. Or VCU was my team, man. So, they come out of the woodworks and then.
Well, and then you got the commentators who, they make their predictions and whatnot. And then, after it's all said and done, they made it look like the big team lost it instead of the Cinderella story team winning it. This guy didn't put up his numbers or whatever. It's just they got beat.
Yeah, not giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
And you could almost say, I know now we look back and we go, they have a stacked team. The Warriors in 2014, they kind of were a Cinderella story. They were.
Yeah, when they I didn't expect them to make it into the finals that year, but who did they? The Spurs. The Spurs lost to the Clippers, and it was like, you got to be kidding me, the Spurs lost to the Clippers, and then so them making it was kind of like an easy road because I think they played, I believe they played Houston, at the finals to get in there, or was it Oklahoma? One of those two. They played to get there, but yeah, as far as getting to the finals, I wasn't expecting them to win. I thought they were gonna choke like the Thunder choked the first time they made it to the finals.
Right. Yeah, and so teams that come out of the woodwork, you don't expect it. They shock the world. That's the Cinderella team, in my opinion. I don't think they have to win the title. My favorite one of all time was Butler Bulldogs 2010, because they came out of nowhere. We love the Cinderella Stories. I think that's why a lot of people watch college basketball. And then Duke's up by 2, and Gordon Hayward just throws that haymaker across the court, and it just barely skims the inside of the rim.
It rattles into the basket, right?
Yeah, and that broke my heart because I thought for sure, okay, the game's over. And then he throws this thing up. I'm like, no way. Ah, I thought they were going to do it. But we'd still be talking about that for the next 10 years if he made that shot. But anyway, if you're a Cinderella bandwagon fan, like there's some Cinderella stories that have been kind of going on this year. I think Jamaal was talking about like the Yankees. Nobody thought the Yankees were going to come out. And they almost made it to the World Series.
Yeah, and I would consider that as a Cinderella story, because like you said, they were happy with just rebuilding, and this year they even didn't have expectations to go that far, and so them like making it like a game before the World Series was like what, like it was pretty cool, Yeah. I definitely hopped on the Yankees bandwagon. I was like, yeah, let's go. And then, Judge struck out, like
for the 207th time or something like that.
Yeah. So it was pretty good. But moving on to the next, I guess, bandwagonery category is the sudden contender fans. And me and Nick were talking about this as far as sudden contenders now. You can look at the NBA Western Conference as all sudden contenders. Everybody and their mama came to the Western Conference now, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, anybody these guys.
I think I saw something that like 13 out of the top 20 NBA players are in the Western Conference now.
Man, I feel bad for like whoever was like number 9 on the Western All-Star list. That person just got bumped down.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tough time to be an all-star in the West. It's tough time to be in the West. You got to play Houston and Golden State, and look at poor Anthony Davis. I think that guy's arguably a top 5 player in the NBA, and he gets kind of shunned every year because he's on such a bad team.
Yeah, well, you got Boogie Cousins on there too. So, but at the same time, yeah, they necessarily didn't get better. They had definitely a ceiling, to was a glass ceiling to bust through. But all these guys who just came over, you got Butler over and the Timberwolves, and Timberwolves are a sudden contender now.
Yeah,
and you will know because you're gonna see all these cats rocking Timberwolves gear. And I don't know not one Timberwolf fan. Not one.
I don't think I've ever met a Timberwolf fan, like ever.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll be seeing these guys come out of woodwork, rocking an old Garnett jersey. It's like, get out of here. Where'd you get that?
Well, I thought they were going to make the playoffs last year. Like they had a guy, Chris Dunn, and obviously Karl Anthony Towns, who I think
Zach
is the best
Levine.
center in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
I thought Karl Anthony Towns was going to turn them around like overnight. And it just didn't happen. But he's young. There's only so much you can do as one guy. But yeah, I think they're number one, as far as I'm concerned, as a switcheroo kind of team, sudden contender.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely tip my hat to these guys to be sudden contenders. Sudden contender in the East, I'll tip my hat to the 76ers. Like these guys are like, I think they're number 1 or number 2.
They're number 4. I was just looking at it.
Number 4.
They're 8-7. Shows you how bad the East is. They're number 4 and they're barely above 500. But they're not terrible. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons getting to show what his talent is. Finally, he didn't play last year. Joel Embiid destroyed the Lakers the other day.
That dude murderized them.
Yeah, and trust the process, right?
Yeah,
that's what they've been saying for like 5-6 years now. Is trust the process, and it's panning out well for them. And then, Jamaal even, was talking about his bandwagon team earlier, who's the Celtics, and they're on a 15-game winning streak. And I think you even picked them to lose to the Warriors, and they got the best of the Warriors, man.
I did. I was watching that game. That game went down to the wire, man.
Yeah, they battled, dude. I think that was a chance for them to show that they're for real.
Yeah, that was a legit game. I honestly, I don't, as far as winning 7 games, this would be a bit of a stretch right now. But I was watching that game. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah,
it was pretty exciting.
Yeah,
it was fun stuff.
And it's like another, couple other sudden contenders like. To me, obviously, there's tons of them in the NFL, and the NFL, it kind of happens every year.
Well, and these guys, the NFL is crazy because everybody's on winning streaks. You have the Saints are on winning streak, the Eagles are on winning streak. They just destroyed the Cowboys, and I won't touch on the Cowboys. Somebody was just getting on me the other day about being mean to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are being mean to themselves. All you got to do is just watch the replays or watch, the news and So I ain't going to touch the Cowboys.
Eagles had no mercy in that game, man. They did not hold back. And I remember during the offseason they signed Alshon Jeffrey. And I was really paying attention close to that story because the Titans were trying to get him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, come on, Tennessee. Come on, Tennessee. Now, obviously, I'm kind of glad we didn't get him. I think we would have overspent for him. But the dude's playing really well in Philadelphia, and he's helping Carson Wentz a lot. That big touchdown he got last night, he looked like a man amongst boys.
Gotcha.
And so anyway, like you said, you got Philadelphia, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, New England, Kansas City's starting to look like they're falling apart at the seams. But there's some new sudden contenders, and it's kind of good to see. I would say the Rams, but after this weekend, I just don't know anymore.
I don't know, man. You were banging their drum, bro. I thought I'd seen you in the Rams shirt, man.
But you know what my saving grace is, and you can question whether I did this on purpose or not. Last week I did tell you about the Vikings.
You did, though. You did. It was your subtle way of jumping ship.
With 2 in trouble, forced out, and in! Unbelievable!
If you like Never Lose Again podcast and you want to stay up to date on the latest episodes, hit us up on Team Bandwagon Facebook page and smash that like button. Team Bandwagon, never lose again.
Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast. I'm your host, Jamaal Brown, along with Mr. Nicholas Garcia. And we're talking about the hot topics. And did you see my boys put a shellacking on Buffalo?
Oh,
This is be like maybe the 3rd or 4th time I'm proud to be a Charger fan.
Ever in your life?
Yeah. Other times it's shame. You run and hide in shame. It's like, oh, we're bad. We're really bad. But yeah, we put a shellacking on those guys, man. And Buffalo didn't help themselves because Mr. Peterman.
That was so stupid, dude.
I don't know. I don't understand why these guys are doing what they're doing, man.
Sean McDermott, I think, is a good coach, and he's done great things over there in Buffalo. He's kind of working with what he has. I get it; they don't have a lot of weapons besides McCoy, maybe, but Tyrod Taylor, to me, it's this analogy that, let's go fire our coach. Mm-hmm. Hold on, pump the brakes. Wait a minute. What coaches are out there right now? Before we fire the guy we have, it's kind of the same thing with Tyrod Taylor. The guy is not going to carry you to a Super Bowl, but they have a winning record.
Yeah.
They're fighting for a wild card right now, and they're shocking the world. We're going to bench our quarterback, though, because we don't like the way he's playing. Really?
Hey, I don't get it, man.
For this unproven kid that comes in and you wait till he throws 5 interceptions to put Tyrod back in? It was so stupid.
And Tyrod, I bet you he was just laughing every interception these guys are better than me? Okay,
Yeah.
And so he's just waiting for them to call.
He's not going to be in Buffalo next year because you know what? They did him dirty.
Yeah.
He deserves a better shot than that.
I think so. I definitely think so. That was a quick recap of NFL. There's, I guess, plenty of topics to talk about, as far as Dallas getting a whooping. but we'll digress and move on. Everybody's think I'm unfair to the Cowboys, and they're just unfair to themselves. But I just want to talk really quick about the World Cup and the countries that haven't made it in yet. And one of the big ones is Italy. And a lot of Italian fans are upset, The Italians, They're pretty upset, and I can see why they're upset. You know, they just won a World Cup 3 World Cups ago. Like how do you not make it into the World Cup if you just won just a few World Cups ago? Granted, it was 12 years ago, 2006, but at the same time, like, you know, what team out there is repeating like that and not making it in? And I can understand their frustrations. Like the USA team didn't make it in, but we never won a World Cup, you know? So it's kind of like, oh, well, you know, we're just bad, you know?
Yeah.
But these guys, it was an absolute train wreck for these guys, you know? And just watching the reactions of the Italians, you know, you think they're pretty chill people until they start talking about their national soccer team.
Well, you know, soccer is one of those sports. I think in America, it's picking up steam. We're definitely getting more of a fan base, but in Italy and in Europe, basically the rest of the world, they love their soccer, dude.
Yeah, and you know, the Ireland hasn't made it in. Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland, so all the Irish are pretty upset. And you know, I was actually watching a Germany game. It was Germany and who these guys are playing? These guys were playing Germany and was it France? It was France.
I was gonna say, I think it was France.
Germany and France, and I was watching that game. And at the same time, you know, Ireland's playing, you know, and I'm on Twitter, and then, you know, I guess Ireland scored in the first, 2 minutes. And, you know, I'm on Twitter and looking at the tweets, you know, and people are like, oh, yeah, Ireland won, you know, we're going to make it to the World Cup, you know. And then this girl even tweeted, she said, Ireland scored. My dad turned off the TV and said, that'll do. And then the opponent scored 2 times before the first half, you know, and I wrote back to her and I say, hey, you know, better tell your dad to turn the TV back on. But yeah, man, those guys didn't make it in, man, and it stinks. Another team that hasn't made it in is South Africa, and South Africa, what is that? You know, 2 World Cups ago, you know, we were celebrating in Johannesburg, you know, and that was a pretty cool World Cup. The USA did a pretty good job. You know?
That was when they kind of started to turn this around. You know, they started to be relevant.
Yeah, and then that's when we got cheated pretty bad when we were playing Suarez's team. I forgot where that team's from. It's a South American team, but and that's the year that Suarez bit somebody.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
that dude bit a chunk out of somebody and got banned. And then the next World Cup, he bit somebody again. It's like, are you serious, man? Like, what is your problem, dude? You know,
I knew about the first time. I didn't know about the second time.
Low key vampire on the field.
Cannibalism.
But yeah, you know, and it's a shock for USA because last World Cup, USA did such a good time. We did such a good job, especially being in the group we were in. We were in a group of death. We had Germany, we had Portugal. Germany won the World Cup, you know, if anybody don't know that. Germany won the World Cup. Portugal has the best player on the planet, arguably, you know, him or Messi. Well, depends on who you talk to. And then we had Ghana. And all those 3 teams are pretty dope, you know. And we were able to get second in our group, you know, with a little help from Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo's team, and we made it through. You know, of course, we got whooped by I want to say it was starts with a B, Belgium.
Okay.
Yeah, we got knocked out by those guys in the knockout rounds. But you know, it's just such a surprise. You know, all these you know big huge teams are not making it. And, you know, it's sad, but
yeah,
moving on, you know.
Just a quick name drop, because this is TeamBandwagon.com, and we love our local sports heroes. Did Donovan play in 2014?
Donovan?
Or did he retire already?
In 2014?
Yeah.
That was last World Cup?
That was the last World Cup.
Yeah, he did not play.
He did not play. But Landon Donovan, I don't know if you knew this. I'm sure you do. You're a local guy. He went to Rev High School And yeah, he was one of they had ESPN there, and they were recording him because he went back there like 7 or 8 years ago and was recording at Rev High School's gym. So local sports hero, Redlands East Valley, Inland Empire, little name drop there.
Little name drop, local heroes. Moving on to our recap, we're gonna call our friend Steffon Thomas into the conversation, and he has a pretty good prediction about an upcoming big game. So let's call him in. He's a pretty busy guy. We appreciate the time he's putting into it.
Hello?
Mr. Steffon Thomas.
Yes, this is Steffon Thomas. Is this the Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast?
This is us, man. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Good morning or good afternoon, sir.
Hey, I love being a part of the podcast. You know how I roll. How y'all doing on this fine day?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. We're just talking about some some hot topics, man. And I know you got a pretty good hot topic that we want to touch on as far as upcoming matchup this week. We have the Golden State Warriors versus the Oklahoma Thunder.
Yes, the Golden State Warriors and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, y'all know that I'm a bandwagon fan, right?
Yeah, man. Like I'm telling everybody all the time, like you started this Team Bandwagon movement, man.
I'm telling you, man. You know how I roll. I'm all about the bandwagon. I'm all about jumping on the winning team. I'm all about jumping on the interesting team, the interesting players. I'm all about jumping on whatever story is out there that is fun, exciting, and of course, winning. What I'm not about is Kevin Durrant. I got a bonus with Kevin Durant. All right.
Hey,
Kevin
man.
Durant,
Go ahead. I'll give you time.
I'm telling you. Okay, so here's the thing, right? You know, like when the Warriors were winning 73 games and all that during that season a couple years ago, I was on it, I was living in California at the time. I was riding with the Warriors doing 73 games. And then also, I had lived in Ohio for a while, so I was all about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And my boy LeBron James going crazy all year. So when they met in the finals, it was a dream come true for me because it was the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I was a fan of both of them. So whoever won, I won. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
That is the dream for a bandwagon fan. Then we get to the summertime, and people are all like, oh, man, Kevin Durant's about to be a free agent. He's interviewing with all these teams. And then all of a sudden, we get the news that Kevin Durant went and joined the freaking Golden State Warriors. Now, come on, Kevin. You know what I'm saying? Like Kevin Durant, it's like you are the second best player in the world, and you went and joined a 73-win team, and then the next year y'all just walk to the finals and walk to the championship, and you win the whole thing.
And they did.
And now you sitting around talking about Kevin Durant is such a great player. Look how he led this team to the championship. You didn't lead nobody to nothing. You got on a team with a whole bunch of other superstars, and you got a championship. If I was on the Golden State Warriors that year, I would have won a championship too. So me and Kevin Durant are on the same level at this point, yes. Because if you put anybody on the Golden State Warriors with 73 wins, they would win a championship that easily too. So I'm not impressed by Kevin Durant's championship ring. I'm just not impressed.
You sure being added to the roster that you can make a difference? I played with you before, bro. I'm not too convinced.
You have played with me before, so you know that if I was on a 73-win team, that all I got to do is ride the bench to a 12th man, and I'd still be walking out of there with a championship. Ask your boy JaVale McGee. He got a title last year, too. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, JaVale was hooping, though. JaVale was hooping. Definitely a surprise, man.
That
So
was hooping on other teams too. So in the rivalry of Kevin Durant versus Russell Westbrook, I am Team Russell Westbrook. You know what I'm saying? Team Russell Westbrook all the way. I hope the Oklahoma City Thunder, by some miracle, defeats the Golden State Warriors this week coming up. However, if the Golden State Warriors win, I'm cool with that.
So, Steph, quick question.
What's up?
The Warriors are tied for first place with Houston. They're 13-4. They're starting to get hot. They're getting their thing going. And the Thunder are 7-8, just outside the playoff picture. Obviously, it's super early in the season. One, do you think the Thunder win this game? Or what are their chances of winning this game? And two, are the Thunder going to turn it around? They're going to be a top three or four seed.
Okay, so the first question is, what are the chances of the
Thunder winning this
City
week?
Thunder winning this game?
Yes.
What's the chances? Well, let me see. The chances of the Oklahoma City Thunder winning this week is directly proportional to the amount of shots Carmelo Anthony takes. If he's playing this week, I don't even know if he's hurt or injured. All right. So here's my math on this: if Carmelo Anthony takes less than 25 shots, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a better chance of winning. If Carmelo Anthony takes more than 25 shots, they have no chance at all. All right, no chance at all. So that's what I'm thinking. But on the real, I like Paul George. I like Russell Westbrook. Carmelo Anthony, if he's having an okay game, I think he could go. So the Golden State Warriors, they've looked a little vulnerable at times this year. I mean, I know they're still doing their thing and everything. But, I mean, the Sixers was up big on them the other day. You know what I'm saying? They got a couple of other teams that they struggled against a little bit. Lost to the Celtics.
hey,
So,
everybody lost to the Celtics right now.
Yeah, everybody's losing to the Celtics right now. True. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Oklahoma City Thunder, Russell Westbrook always comes to the Golden State Warriors games with crazy fire in his belly, even before his boy skipped town. You know what I'm saying? He always came at the Golden State Warriors with fire. So now we've got a couple little running mates and everything like that. So, so Oklahoma City, I think they play up to their competition and down to their competition. So when Golden State comes into town, they'll play. And now when Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are talking trash on the court, at least Russell Westbrook can say, hey, I got other players. Kevin Durant talking trash against the Oklahoma City Thunder last year. I was like, you playing against Russell Westbrook and 4 JV guys. It's like, of course you're going to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kevin Durant's like, we got this. Yeah, you got the MVP and the MVP runner-up on the same team. Of course you're going to do. Of course you're going to win. So, like, I wasn't impressed by Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors beating the Oklahoma City Thunder last year. You know what I'm saying? It's like me playing my little brother. You know what I mean? So, and then what was the second part of the question?
You said, what is it?
Do you think the Thunder, obviously I think they're going to make the playoffs, but right now they're at the 9 seed. Do you think they turn it around and make it at least in maybe like the top 3 or 4, or maybe even beyond that?
The Golden, the Thunder.
Yeah.
I think the Thunder are going to sneak into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be a crazy high seed, but I think they're going to be on the bottom half, 5, 6, maybe 5 or 6, something like that. They'll sneak in because, as always, the Western Conference is tough, and of course, no one is talking about the Spurs right now, but they're doing their thing. And you got the Houston Rockets. They're lurking, looking good, and you got a couple of other teams that might surprise some people out of nowhere. So I think Russell Westbrook and them, I think they'll be in the playoffs, and I think they'll even make some noise when they get in the playoffs. Like, even if they go out in the first round, they're going to push someone to 7 games. You know what I'm saying? They're going to push somebody to 7 games, and then we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to. I don't think it's all going to coalesce for them, right? This season. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, Carmelo, he's a wild card because just when you think that they might be doing well, Carmelo Anthony's going to let someone get a layup and they're going to win and they're going to lose the game. You know what I'm saying? So you just don't know what's going to happen with Carmelo. But I mean, Paul George is solid and everything, and I think they'll learn how to play together. I have confidence. I feel like Russell Westbrook really does make other people better around him. I know I might be in the minority with thinking that, but I think Russell Westbrook could kick some people into high gear. But I have cautious optimism, but I'm definitely on the Thunder's bandwagon. Except for Carmelo Anthony, he can run behind us and chase the bandwagon. But everything else about the Thunder, I'm on the Thunder's bandwagon right now.
All right.
That's what's up, man. Yo, Steffon, thanks for calling in, bro. Well, we called you.
Hey.
Thanks for picking up the phone.
Well, whatever's clever, man. Yo, y'all keep doing what y'all doing, yo. Team bandwagon for life. Never lose again.
Yo, never lose again. Thanks, Steffon Thomas. I don't know why I say your first and last name. I don't know. But thanks, man. Appreciate it, bro.
All right, gentlemen. Y'all have a good one now.
Take it easy, Steph.
All right. Peace.
With 2 in trouble, forced out, and in! Unbelievable!
Get the latest info on Never Lose Again podcast, Bandwagon Nation, and much more by following us on Twitter at Never Lose Again, where the E's are 3s. Jump on Team Bandwagon. Never lose again. That was Steffon Thomas on Never Lose Again podcast. I'm your host, Jamaal Brown. This is Mr. Nicholas Garcia. And we're moving on to college sports. And, the year's early. We had some big games already, but college basketball top teams. Mr. Nick, who do you have as a top team as far as basketball goes?
The NCAA men, I mean, it's super, super, super early, but Duke's the clear-cut number 1. They're 4-0. They got to whoop on Utah Valley first game of the season, kind of a little unfair. But Duke's in it every single year. You can't count out anybody that Krzyzewski coaches. Grayson Allen, I think it was their second game, dropped 37 points. And this is a kid that nobody likes, including myself. He plays dirty. He tries to hurt people. He's kind of a punk.
Hey, I kind of like the kid, man. Hey, he
you
hoops,
know what?
man.
I think it's okay to talk trash. I think it's okay to get in somebody's face.
Yeah,
I'm
when
okay
you
with that guy.
You start tripping people.
When you start tripping people and trying to hurt other players, that's where I draw the line, man. That's not right. That's somebody else's career. That's their livelihood, possibly, if they're trying to go pro. And even if they're just playing college basketball, man, that's their scholarship. So that sense, I really don't like what he's doing. Hopefully he'll clean up his act. He hasn't really gotten in trouble yet that I've heard about. But he's definitely working on his NBA draft status.
You got to keep your head on the swivel, man.
Yep. But so mine's a little easy to pick. But yeah, Duke is by far my favorite right now to win it all.
Gotcha. I'm going with Arizona, man. Of course, last year, Arizona, I had them going in my bracket, going all the way, and they got knocked out by 11 seed Xavier.
Xavier, yeah.
I said Xander. Let me see the Xavier, and it was heartbreaking, But I think they definitely have a lot of pieces that stayed, we had some seniors that left, but I think a lot of the core is intact still. You still have a lot of double-digit ballers on there. So, I got them as number 1, along with half of the nation. I think they're number 1 in the college polls. But like Nick was saying, it's the beginning of the year. We're barely a few games into the season, so keep a lookout for those basketball top teams. It's going to be pretty big, especially as the year goes on. But college sports. Moving on to football. Who you got? Of course, we got the college playoff rankings and all that stuff. But just in general, who you have as a top team, Nick?
I'm just going to touch on the number 1 team, but in a negative fashion. Alabama's obviously ranked number 1.
Throw some salt on it, bro.
I'm going to throw some salt on it. I'm sorry. If you're an Alabama fan, it's all good. You guys are still favored to win it all. But
Alabama.
Alabama's ranked number 1 every year. Yes, they probably win half the time. Clemson's kind of their Achilles heel right now. Clemson gives them good battle. But Alabama, I was looking at their strength of schedule. They're still going to go in as number 1 unless Auburn finds a way to beat them this weekend in the Iron Bowl, big rivalry game. But Alabama, their strength of schedule is ranked number 60 in the nation. They just beat Mercer. Why the number one team in the country is playing Mercer, I have no idea. Now, I know some of this is done by invitation. They go, yeah, we'll play Mercer. Sure, let's give them a shot. But a lot of this is picked by the committee and yada, yada, NCAA. But come on, man. Like,
It has a lot to do with money, too. Like, when these big schools play, like, these small schools,
Right.
these small schools get, like, fat paychecks.
oh, absolutely. But come on, man. When you're Alabama, you've got God knows how many titles in the last 10 years. You have no business playing Mercer.
Hey, the first game of the season was pretty dope, though, you know?
Well, yeah, and then they almost lost to Mississippi State, I think 2 weeks ago, too. That was a great game. They're in the SEC, so you're going to see great games. The SEC is not as tough as it was a few years ago,
Yeah.
but it's still the SEC. So, like I said, I think the Iron Bowl this week, as usual, almost every year, it's going to be a great game. And Auburn's got a shot. If they beat Alabama, they're number 6 right now, according to the college playoffs. If they find a way to beat Alabama, they're going to get in. But I'm all over Clemson's bandwagon again because they're ranked number 4 right now. But they have the 11th toughest strength of schedule in the country right now. The toughest amongst all 4 of the playoff teams right now.
Okay. And Nick's my pick isn't as sophisticated as Nick's. My pick is real easy. I'm gonna go with the U. I'm gonna go with Miami University, and the reason why is because they're 30 for 30s.
All right, but that's a totally different Miami team that was like 20-something years ago.
Hey man, everybody's saying the U. You know why I'm going with the U? Because I like that chain, man. If I can find a chain and rock that chain, like these dudes is flashy. Like
You talking
these
about the
dudes,
turnover chain?
the
Did you see Oregon tried to copy it?
No, I didn't.
They
I
were
haven't seen
getting
that.
roasted so bad yesterday. Not yesterday, Saturday. They came up with their own turnover chain, and it's like all they did was copy their chain and put an O around it. That's all they did different.
Hilarious. But yeah, that's the team I'm going with. These guys they made it to the top. The top of the heap this year. They're playing lights out. They have a pretty big game against Clemson in a couple weeks, so that's going to be very interesting. As far as they can go all the way, I don't know, but
Well, we'll find out when they play Clemson.
Yep, I'm jumping on the bandwagon, so when it does happen, you can say, "Oh, didn't Jamaal say something about these guys?" I did.
Jamaal Stradamus.
That's right.
I'm not taking anything from Miami. They're awesome. They're 9. Well, no, they're 10-0, right?
10-0.
10-0. They're awesome. They're a good football team. They've shown it. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. And then, as far as the playoff committee selections, I hate that stuff, man.
Nobody's ever happy.
I hate these guys, man.
Nobody's ever happy.
Just because, like you're saying, like these guys have really sorry schedules, and all these guys just want to get together. And I think it's just a way to make college football relevant, and kind of get the spotlight off of how they're making gazillions of dollars and not paying these kids nothing. But yeah, man, I honestly pay zero attention to it. Of course you see it come up, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And then, does other teams deserve to be in there? Sure. Am I going to tip my hat to make a prediction? No.
I think
Just
you're
watch it.
always going to have people be unhappy because first we had, you won the championship. I can't remember what it was called, but basically by whatever record you had in your strength of schedule, whoever's the number 1 seed at the end of the year, you're the champion. There was no championship game.
And yeah, I definitely like the way that it moved to the playoff thing.
Right.
But as far as selecting, the top teams, it's just like, where are the best teams? Let them get in there. Let's play and see what happens.
How do you rank the best teams, though, when you've got, like, Alabama playing the toughest teams in the country? The ACC is obviously super tough with, like, Clemson and Miami.
Yeah, and I think, too, you do have a problem with college sports in general because it's like, a million college teams, And I think that was my early in my college fandom watching it. It was like, I don't get it because it's like, it's a million teams,
Right.
NBA, you get it, there's only X amount of teams, the top teams get in there. But when you have, Southwestern East Tech, that has a perfect record, and you have these guys over here with, a couple losses,
Right.
What's the judge on that? But I guess this committee is the judge.
I think my only beef with it is, and I'm going to go a little bit back and forth on this because I understand it, but I still disagree with it, is if 2 teams from the SEC played each other earlier in the year, two SEC teams should not be in the playoff. Like I remember in 2012, something like that, 2011, LSU beat Alabama during the regular season, and then Alabama met them in the championship and beat them. It was a hard-fought game. Alabama ended up winning the title. I'm sorry to say, if Alabama lost to them during the regular season and LSU has better records, they obviously are going to be in the playoff. I don't think Alabama should get to go. That's just my personal opinion. Now, they did end up beating them because not only on paper, but Alabama really was a better team.
Yeah, but you got the Big Ten, which is sorry. You know. You got these guys who are I disagree just because it's, top teams, whatever top teams. If you guys are in the same division, who cares, Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, who's picking these schedules? Who's setting all this stuff up,
Right, right. They should have tougher schedules. If you think that team's going to be one of the best teams, then they should play the best.
I agree. And then, so we're moving on as we're continuing with our college sports focus. We're going to touch on the Heisman Trophy favorite. And then we both agree it's Mr. Baker Mayfield.
Guy's unreal.
First of all, who names their kid Baker Mayfield?
Obviously, you don't get to choose his last name, but I don't know. I don't want to make fun of any I'm corn tossing farm towns. We're gonna name him Baker.
Baker. Do you know any Bakers?
I know know the last name Baker.
I
don't know anyone with the first name Baker.
That's very unique. Baker Mayfield.
Picture the name Baker Rodriguez. Baker Garcia. Because I'm a Garcia, that'd be really weird.
Baker
sounding.
Hernandez. Nah, I don't. There's no Baker Hernandez.
That'd be really weird sounding.
But Mr. Baker Mayfield is the Heisman Trophy favorite, and me and Nick do not disagree. We definitely believe that this dude is unreal. I think it's the perfect timing, and I kind of see it as when LeBron kind of moved to the Miami Heat. It was really nobody kind of around to kind of stop that from happening. Kobe was out of the picture. A lot of the old regime kind of went away, and it was just perfect timing. The Heat was there for the taking, and take everything. And of course, you had, the Spurs was the only person to kind of stand in their way, and they prevented it. They prevented a championship for him to go. But at the same time, I think it's timing. Right now, he's not the biggest, the tallest, the strongest guy, but he's making things happen. So I don't know. I just think it's really good timing right now.
I think he's polarizing. Obviously, he kind of puts himself out there, not always in the best way. So everybody's talking about him. He's at a big university. They're ranked 3 in the nation. And he's putting up numbers. I was looking at a poll of a website that, who they think is going to win the Heisman, and he got all first place votes. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, that's not official, but I think if it's that clear cut, he's going to win it by far. And the guy, as Kansas learned, as Baylor's learned, don't make the guy mad because he's going to put up numbers on you. Even more so.
He's a competitor, and he's a winner. He has a winning spirit about him. I just think he can grow up in a lot of areas and resist the urge to do that impulse, because as you're winning and you're dominating, you're gonna be impulsive to celebrate, to talk trash, but just you already know you're better than these guys, so just growing up and being mature and just resisting impulses, I think it will help him.
We talked about that last week a little bit, how college kids, it's kind of a time to grow up. It's kind of time to learn who you are. But the difference is bro, you've had time to learn that as a quarterback, you're supposed to be the leader.
Especially his, at the beginning of the year when he got in trouble. And it's how many times can you apologize?
Yeah, and I think we talked about that, the last kind of fan that you really want to mess with. I know we pick on Ohio a lot, but Ohio State, and you're going to do that in their stadium. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he stuck the Ohio State flag or the Oklahoma flag in the middle of Ohio State field, and then felt the need to apologize.
Yeah,
after
we got the audio right here.
It was an emotional game. I told you guys that last week that it was. I knew that it was going to have a lot of implications on the playoffs, and so that's the way we were prepared. And so it was an emotional game, and so after the game, it did not mean for it to be disrespectful towards any Ohio State people at all, especially not the team or the players, because they're a great team and a great program. So I didn't mean it to be disrespectful at all. I mean, we do the flag thing at OU Texas, and so that's just something that I got caught up in, an emotional win. And, it should have been something I did in the locker room, so I apologize for doing it in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he didn't mean that apology at all. That he didn't know it was going to hurt Ohio State fans' feelings, and that's like the most disrespectful thing you could do in another. I mean, obviously, besides the stuff that'll get you kicked out of the game, but that was so disrespectful.
It was, and I definitely think that he meant it, and going back on it, it's like, dude, if this is who you are, then be this guy, but at the same time, don't go back and apologize. You can dominate teams and beat them and make them feel silly, but when you have to double back and apologize, it sinks.
Do you think the coaches made him apologize?
I definitely believe so.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like he wanted to do it.
And then, like you said, how many times you can apologize? He plays Kansas last week. They won't shake his hand.
Yeah.
So he puts up points, obviously.
Yeah.
Kansas should have known better. But he puts up points and then makes some obscene gestures and mouths some horrible language.
Grabbed his crotch.
Yeah.
And screamed some obscenities to the sidelines.
And then he's got to apologize again.
Yeah, we have his apology right here.
I got caught up in a competitive game, chippy game, but what I did tonight was unacceptable. I am a competitive player, but that's what I did is unacceptable, and so I apologize. It's disrespectful. It's not the example I want to set. It's not the legacy I want to leave at OU. It's not. So I truly do apologize. It's think about the kids that are watching. It's not something I want to do. And so to the parents out there, I'm sorry.
All right. So did you hear? It was pretty much the same apology.
This sounds exactly the same.
I'm a competitor. I got caught up.
I got caught up in the moment. Yeah, and then you know what? I can almost hear he's repeating what his coach is saying to him. Mm-hmm. Hey man, I know it's okay to get caught up in the moment, but consider all the parents out there with their little kids watching. So that's almost like what he repeated what his coach said to him. I can totally hear it.
Is this the legacy you want to live? So, no, this is not the legacy I want to live. I'm sorry.
And he's not allowed to talk to sponsors or an agent or anything like that. But he's got friends like, dude, you're going to get drafted next year. If you want sponsors, you need to go out there and apologize.
Right. Got to suck it up, kid.
With two, in trouble, forced out, and in! Unbelievable!
Want more from Never Lose Again podcast team? Then you need to jump on that Team Bandwagon website at www.teambandwagon.com. Find links to our social media sites and subscribe. Team Bandwagon, never lose again.
So this is Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast. I'm your host, Jamaal Brown, along with Mr. Nick Garcia. And Mr. Nick, as far as bandwagon teams, I know you were on Las Vegas Knights.
Yeah, dude, they're second, I think, in the West right now, and they just beat the Kings, who are number one in the West. This is a brand new franchise.
Yeah, but aren't you a Kings fan too?
I'm a Kings fan, so I'm actually paying attention to hockey this year.
So which bandwagon? If you're buying a ticket, which bandwagon are you aboard?
Well, before the other day, it would have been the Kings, but considering the Golden Knights beat up on the Kings, I guess it would be Las Vegas.
Las Vegas?
Yeah, man. It touches perfectly on today's show. We're talking about Cinderella teams. No brand new franchise has ever started off this well, and they're playing super well. They beat the Kings, number one team in the West, and they look legit. They're fun to watch, and who doesn't want to jump on that? Not only are they playing hot, they're the brand new little shiny toy in the NHL.
I got you. And, the brand new team that came out the gates, throwing haymakers is Atlanta United, MLS. And these guys, a brand new team, made it to the playoffs, got whooped. It was a really bad game, it was a really bad game. I got whooped by Columbus, but at the same time, they're a brand new franchise that
right.
came out the gates.
There's nothing to hang your head there.
No, nothing to hang your head. You know, my bandwagon team is going to stay the same. You know, I'm definitely all aboard the Celtics, you know, even though I'm an LA Laker fan. But, the Celtics are on a 16-game winning streak.
Is it 16?
I think they're going for 16.
They're going for 16, yeah.
They're going for 16. Is it Monday tonight? They're the 20. Yep, tonight. They're going against Dallas. They're going against Dallas Mavericks.
They'll get 16.
They'll get 16 for sure. But you know what? I think you know they're on this hot streak, but I think they're gonna lose by like some stupid team. You know, like they're playing you know, Detroit. Where they're playing Detroit? They're playing Detroit on before the end of the month. Before the end of the month, towards the end of the month, they're playing Detroit.
Well, Detroit, they're kind of good right now.
I know, but at the same time, like, you know, you think they lost to, you know, Golden State before, if anything. Or
yeah,
even,
you had them predicted to lose that game.
I
didn't
did. Or even 2 games before that against the Raptors, which they won by 1 point. You know, but at the same time, you know, then at the end of the month, they got, you know, Detroit, they got the Sixers, and they got not Philadelphia. They have the Suns, Phoenix Suns, and then they have Milwaukee Bucks, which they just beat those guys. But that's a tough game streak. So honestly, I think just to get out the way, they're gonna lose against Detroit and then just go on another killing streak.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. They're gonna. I mean, that sports as it is, and especially I think the NBA. You go on a winning streak and then it ends in a way you don't expect it to. You know, and Golden State goes on a winning streak. Of course they beat Cleveland. Of course they beat, you know, Houston and all the top teams. And then they'll lose to a team that's just squeaking into the playoffs. So
yeah. And this week, me and Nick, we are going head to head in our fantasy football league. And it's getting down to the wire, man. I know, like, in my
is it though?
Well, it is, because right now I have one player to go place tonight, Jimmy Graham, and then Nick has 2 players. He got Mr. Wilson, and he has
Matt Bryant,
the kicker. And so I'm up. What is it? I'm up by 6 points.
Yeah.
I'm up by
Going
6.
into Monday Night Football.
I'm up by 6 points. All I need Russell Wilson to do is throw to Graham. You know, Wilson's going to get his points, but Graham's going to get his. Graham's been on a nice, you know, double-digit streak the past couple games. So, am I scared? Nah.
Throw to Jimmy Graham. I'm totally cool with that. But Russell Wilson is going to get points with his legs. He's going to throw to Doug Baldwin. And he may even get a rushing touchdown. And Matt Bryant, I think he's the number 1 kicker in fantasy right now. I'm feeling pretty good about winning tonight.
Man,
I'm feeling. You know what's funny is I'm actually down by 7, and I feel way better about this one than the last time you and I played. Because recap the last game, you were up by 3.
By 3.
I needed 3 points to tie, 4 points to win, and I had Golden Tate. He had no players
2
left.
points.
All I needed was 3 points to tie, 4 to win. And I'm like, I got this. It's over. I'm done. Golden Tate gets me 2 points. I lost by 1 point.
Well, Detroit was up the whole time, so they were just running it.
Well, and even I was at work. I worked late that night, and my friends texted me, Golden Tate just dropped another pass. Oh, man, Golden Tate just dropped a 26-yarder. I'm like, that would have been the game.
Yeah.
And so he dropped, I think, like two wide open passes. So...
Thanks, Golden Tate.
Thanks.
I have a feeling, Atlanta's going to give it to...
You think so?
I don't know, man. I hope so. I need this W, man. I'm still in the running for the playoffs. I don't know how you're doing on your
I
division.
think I'm like half a game ahead of you because I have a tie rather than a loss. I need to catch Jenny, who just destroyed this week.
She did.
And I don't know, how'd Steffon do? Because I'm right behind him,
Well,
too.
he's playing my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is 0-10.
He's the one that gave up on his team.
Yeah. And he was talking all this smack. Oh, he the one that got me into fantasy football. And I'm like, dude, how you get me in? Last year, you're terrible. And this year, it's like, dude, I'm sensing a pattern here. But you're 5th out of the race.
So I am 1 spot out.
Yeah. And then it's the 3-way tie in my division, so I'm pretty good. get into the playoffs at least.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
we've got a few games left, and I set up the schedule for our league, so I know we end week 14 because week 15 and week 16 are the championship. Because some leagues do it in week 17, but week 17 you don't know who's going to play, you don't know who's not going to play.
Everybody's resting for the playoffs.
So we're going to set that up for week 15 and week 16. So I'm hoping to get my revenge game tonight against Jamaal. We'll see how Jimmy Graham does.
He's hoping.
I'm hoping, man.
I'm in the lead, so I'm not tripping.
Well, not only do I want to get my revenge game, losing by 1 freaking point, I really want to make the playoffs. I did really good last year. I lost in the Super Bowl to Steph.
Yeah.
With 2 in trouble, forced out and in. Unbelievable.
Team Bandwagon is on YouTube. Subscribe to the most winningest channel and never miss an update. You can find us on YouTube under the name Bandwagon Nation. This is Team Bandwagon. Never lose again.
So this is Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast. Social media, some hype around Steph Curry, right?
Steph Curry, did you see when he did the crazy layup where he threw it like a mile in the air and it went in the net?
That was pretty bizarre.
That was pretty bizarre. So now there's the Steph Curry challenge, and people are going around and doing this. And there's a video out there. I don't know who the guy is. Maybe he's famous. But he's on Instagram, and he's going around to, like, grocery stores, and he climbs on some top of dude's car and does the layup, and people are getting really mad at him. He's kind of being a jerk. And Steph Curry spoke out about it. And he was like, hey, guys, I appreciate the recognition, but if you're going to do the Steph Curry challenge, just be polite. Don't be a jerk about it. Don't ruin other people's lives. Don't climb on other people's cars.
Yeah, just, take it easy. You got my name out there. Like,
yeah.
Don't give
People
me
are
a
going to be
bad
like,
rep.
stop doing cool stuff, Steph, because people are copying you and being jerks about it.
And then we also have, we talked about those guys last week as far as the UCLA kids in trouble. And then I guess the next day they went home.
Yeah, right after we talked about it.
The next day they went home, and Nick posted a pretty funny meme on the Team Bandwagon Twitter page. If you want to check it out, Never Lose Again, where the E's are 3's on Twitter. But yeah. So they got released the next day, but then there's all this hoopla with Trump, and then they did a press conference, and Trump said, I better get some credit, and then they did get some credit, but then LeVar Ball's like, Trump who?
Yeah.
And now Trump's all butthurt, and he said he should have left those kids in jail in China. And then somebody I forgot who did it, but somebody tweeted and says, how can a man in such a big office be so small?
Yeah. And one of the things, understand, first of all, Jamaal and I agreed that we're not going to get overly into politics on this show. It's going to be sports. But obviously Trump is kind of involving himself in sports right now. The whole thing is stupid. I'm not even going to give my 2 cents except just saying the whole thing is stupid. It should have been over getting those kids home.
Yeah.
You got 3 Americans home, and that's your job.
Yeah.
And he decided to make a big Twitter battle about it. And I was actually just telling a friend, let's do this on a lighter note. I was talking to a friend, and I go, I think Trump and LeVar would get along really well.
They would.
You'd think they would, but he even said, he goes, no, they're too much alike. And I think we're starting to see that right now. They're too much alike. What I say is gospel, and that's all there is to it. I don't owe you anything. This is my show, and that's all there is to it.
Gotcha. And then so moving on to the next big thing everybody's talking about is the Shaq rim tree. And do you think Shaq can make a free throw on that tree?
Well, it's pretty tall, so I don't know. Like his thing was he always threw the ball too hard. So one or two things are going to happen. He's either going to totally miss, or maybe he just needed the rim higher his entire career. I don't know. But yeah, did you get a chance to check out the pictures?
I seen it, man. It was described to me as Shaq made a tree out of all the rims he broke. But then I look at it and it's just a bunch. It's like look like branches, but it's the hoops. And I'm like, well, where's the thing that he broke on? I don't get it, But I think Shaq's trying to stay relevant, and in the picture of things. So it's pretty cool though, It's definitely it stands out,
The guy's got more money than he knows what to do with. I remember watching Cribs with him like back in 06, and the guy owns like 5 houses, and he's got a full gymnasium and all that. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. So he's just like, oh, let me build another altar to myself.
You know, a lot of people rented that stuff on Cribs, right?
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Cribs is coming to my house. Let's decorate real quick. But I mean, like, obviously, like, he had a gym.
Yeah.
How many millions of dollars did he spend on having a backyard gym? He obviously isn't using it for free throws.
I definitely agree. Shaq didn't fake it on Cribs. But my best Crib episode is Redman's Crib. Did you see that? Oh,
I did not
gosh.
see that one.
Redman's Crib was so busted. It was ridiculous.
Was it?
And he just kept it real, you know. It's like, oh, Cribs is coming over. I read stories that he was late, you know.
I'm not surprised.
To get in there, and then he showed his car. His car was he had rims on his car that was worth more than the car.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh, quick side.
Who was the guy from like the American Pie movies? Scott Williams, whatever his name was. You know what I'm talking about. Dude, where's my car?
Dude, where's my car? Oh, yeah, I have no clue.
Anyway, he did his, and that was the most ridiculous one I ever saw. He like showed off his 3-bedroom apartment, and he had like 10 roommates, and he lived in the ghetto. And he talked about how some dude got stabbed in behind his window.
Trust me, Redman takes the cake, bro. You have to watch that episode.
Look it up, guys. Look it up.
All right, guys. Well, this is Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast. I'm your host, Jamaal Brown. You can catch me on Twitter at J_Cafe. And then Mr. Nick, you're on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Big Red MVP.
Big Red MVP.
Yeah, I'll give you guys the story to that later. That's an interesting one.
Also, you can catch us, Team Bandwagon, on Twitter as well. Never Lose Again, where the E's are 3s. We're on Facebook as well. Team Bandwagon, I guess the extension to the URL, facebook.com. And then we're also on YouTube at Bandwagon Nation. If you search Bandwagon Nation, you'll see us. We have some pretty cool how-to sports videos up there.
And guys, hit us up. Let us know more content you want us to talk about. Maybe some stuff we can put on the feed. Just some ideas. Put it out there what you want.
Yep. Let us know, because we're here for you, Bandwagon Nation. So this is Jamaal Brown and Nick Garcia. We're signing off. Episode 3, Team Bandwagon Never Lose Again podcast. We love you guys.
Thanks for joining us.